All right, let's dive into one of the most foundational stories in Islam, the incredible narrative of the Prophet Adam. We're talking about the first man, the very first prophet, and the father of all humanity. So what does Islam teach about the very first human? That's the exact question we're going to unpack today. We'll walk through the Islamic account of creation, that first test, what it means to be forgiven, and how human life really began on Earth all through Adam's journey. But to really get Adam's story, we have to rewind a bit. We've got to look at what the world was like before he even existed. Because the stage wasn't empty, it was already teeming with other creations of God. Now, there were two main types of beings around. On one hand, you have the angels, created from pure light, whose entire nature is to be obedient to God. And on the other hand, you have the jinn, created from a smokeless fire. And here's the key difference. The jinn have free will, just like us. And the story goes that before humans, they were the ones who lived on Earth. And things didn't go so well. They ended up causing a lot of corruption. So, right into this world, God makes this huge announcement to the angels. He declares his plan to place a Khalifa on the Earth. Now, a Khalifa is like a successor, a steward, or a viceroy. This was the blueprint for an entirely new creation, us, humankind. And this is where it gets really interesting. The angels' response, it wasn't a challenge, not at all. It was a genuine question. They had seen what happened with the jinn, another creation with free will, and they were basically asking, "Are you sure?" And God's reply was simple, powerful, and kind of mysterious. "Indeed, I know what you do not know."
Okay, so that sets the stage for the big moment, the creation of Adam himself. And the Islamic tradition gives us this really detailed, almost poetic step-by-step account of how the first human being came to be.
So how did it happen? It all started with soil. A handful of dust was taken from all over the planet. And this is so cool. The different colors and textures of that soil are said to be why we, humanity, have such a diversity of skin colors and personalities. That dust was mixed with water to make clay. God shaped the form himself, and after it dried, the divine spirit was breathed into it, and Adam, the first man, took his first breath. But here's the thing that really set Adam apart, the absolute game changer. He was given a special gift, knowledge. God taught him the names of everything. This wasn't just about vocabulary. It was the ability to understand, to categorize, to reason, a level of intellect that even the angels didn't have. This was humanity's purpose. And this all leads to the first great test, a real moment of truth. God commanded the angels to prostrate, to bow down before Adam, as a sign of respect for this new creation and his God-given knowledge. And every single angel obeyed, except for one, Iblis. He was actually a jinn who had been so devout he was among the angels, and his refusal exposed his true nature, pure arrogance. His excuse? He believed being made of fire made him superior to a being made from simple clay. So Iblis is cast out. From that moment on, he becomes Shaitan, or Satan, the adversary. And Adam's journey now begins in paradise. But as you can imagine, this paradise came with a very important but very simple test. At first, Adam was all alone in this incredible paradise. So to complete his world, God created a companion for him. The story says that while Adam slept, his wife, Hawa, or Eve, was created from his rib. She was made to be a source of comfort and peace for him. And just like that, the first family was formed. Life was, perfect. Adam and Hawa had free reign of the entire garden. They could enjoy everything it had to offer, except for one thing. Just one simple rule. God pointed to a specific tree and told them, "Don't go near this tree." That was it, a straightforward test of their willpower. But of course, they weren't entirely alone. Shaitan hadn't forgotten them. He starts this whole campaign of whispers and deception. He promised them forever, a kingdom that would never fade. He even suggested that eating the fruit would make them like angels. And the most cunning part? He swore to them he was just giving them good advice. And they did it. In a moment of forgetfulness, they listened to Shaitan and they ate from the tree. And the result was instant and overwhelming. A spiritual light that had covered them just vanished. And for the very first time, they felt shame and vulnerability. But this right here is maybe one of the most important parts of the whole story. Remember how Iblis blamed God for his own mistake? Well, Adam and Hawa did the exact opposite. They immediately took full responsibility. They turned to God and said these beautiful words, admitting their mistake and begging for forgiveness. And in doing so, they set the perfect example for all of us. We will all make mistakes, but the way back is through sincere repentance.
So, God forgave them. But that didn't mean things went back to the way they were. Their journey was always meant to continue, but now it would be on a new frontier, a new home, right here on Earth.
And get this, they didn't start their life on Earth together. Tradition says they were sent to different corners of the world. Their new life began with a search, a longing to find one another again. And that long search finally ended when they were reunited on a mountain known as Arafat, a name which means to get to know. And from that reunion, our story really begins. Adam and Hawa started the first family. They had children, including 2 sons, Qabil, who we know as Cain, and Habil, who we know as Abel. Habil was a shepherd, and Qabil was a farmer. When a dispute came up between them, they were told to each make an offering to God, and their offerings revealed everything about what was in their hearts. Habil brought the very best of his flock, while Qabil, he brought the worst of his crops. And this is where the first real tragedy strikes humanity. God accepted Habil's sincere offering, but not Qabil's. And that rejection, that jealousy, it just festered inside Qabil until it turned into rage. He confronted his brother, and in that moment of anger, he killed him. The first murder. A terrible stain on the human story, born from envy. Can you imagine? Qabil is now standing there with his brother's body. He's filled with regret, but he has no idea what to do next. And then, God sends him a teacher from the most unexpected place. He sees a crow digging in the earth to bury another dead crow. And from watching that bird, Qabil learned how to perform the very first human burial, a humbling end to a terrible act. So, Adam's life on earth was a long one, full of lessons, growth, and leading his growing family. And as he neared the end of that long life, he had one last, vital message to pass on to his children and all their descendants. Just think about that for a second. Tradition tells us he lived for 960 years. He would have seen his children and his children's children grow into a whole civilization, and he was there the whole time as their first prophet, their teacher, and their guide. As his death neared, he gathered everyone around him, and he laid out his final testament. It's like the summary of everything he learned. He reminded them to worship the one true God. He warned them, don't forget your enemy, Shaitan. But he also reassured them that God would never abandon them. And he told them that a long line of prophets would follow him to keep guiding humanity back to the right path. When you step back and look at it, Adam's story is really our story, isn't it? It's a mirror for the human experience. It shows our incredible potential for honor and knowledge, but also our capacity to mess up, to forget, to fall. But maybe the most important lesson is that it also shows our built-in ability to recognize our mistakes, to seek forgiveness, and to always find a way back. It's the ultimate story of trial, repentance, and mercy.